Wow, it feels like we just did an episode. Apparently, because we did.
What are you
But
talking
hey,
about? I got a whole new outfit. I know what you're talking about.
Costume
I got
change.
my happy red Valentine's apparel going here. Nowhere near any other episode that we've ever done. I've never seen that Bruce Lee shirt before.
Well, in case this is your first time listening, I don't know why it would be, but hey, if it is, fantastic. Glad to have you here. Welcome to another episode of I Can Do This All Day podcast. I'm Dan, the part-time Avenger, and with me is Mark, the resident Jedi.
Hello there. Just in time for Valentine's Day, and all of you folks that need to have a little home couch date, spend a little cuddly time with your significant other. The team here at ICDT All Day is here to provide you with a foolproof list of movies that you can watch with your sweetheart and be entertained while also enjoying a little bit of romantic influence.
We are going to be doing our top 5 rom-coms. Now, this is not necessarily my typical genre of movie that I'd like to watch, but hey, it's February. I feel the love. You feel the love, Mark. Let's let the listeners feel the love. But first off, what the hell?
Careful how many times you say "feel the love." They're gonna think we're ranking porn.
Well, I mean, you haven't seen my list yet, so. But what exactly constitutes a rom-com in your opinion?
That is a very good question, and I think that at the core, you have a character that grows and characters that come together, and at the end, there's some love going on.
Does it need to be like one male and one female, and that's the connection, or can there be multiple? What is your definition here?
It could be boys, it could be girls, it could be they, it could be them, it could be whatever.
I didn't mean pronouns. I meant more of just like one and one that is the connection, or is it like a group type of ensemble?
I mean, whatever floats your boat. If you want to get a group together, man, more power to you. But no, I'm not talking about the pronoun conversation. That was just a lead up to me saying love is love, man, and it's just people coming together.
There are a lot of different movies according to people that are rom-com, where it's like it has to fit a certain mold, and then there's others that are comedies that also happen to have like some type of romantic interest. So I'm curious as to what your list is going to be. But before we get into that list, are you a frequent viewer of what you would consider rom-coms?
Oh yeah, no, I could do those all day.
Oh,
but I may be a little loose with the genre, as you may see from my list. But I'm a comedy person in general, so whether they be romantic or otherwise, I think some of the best movies in the 80s and 90s fall into this category. Some of the best movies of my generation fall into this category. And it's not because I'm just out there hunting rom-coms. It's just because they're just so great. And the ones that I really enjoy, I either find really relatable, or there's just something about them that just absolutely, I just love it. Like some of the most perfect movies ever made, I think, are rom-coms.
Oh man, this is going to be an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
So I am not a fan of rom-coms, because I don't necessarily. It's like on the bottom of my list of what I will want to go and see. Not to say that they're bad movies.
I don't know. They're more of a watch at home for me. Like could be a date night movie out. They're never the top grossing movie. Like they're never that, but they're more of they're the one that you can watch on Netflix and you come back to for me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess I just don't I think of like Hallmark movies of, during like Christmas time and things like that. Those are some fucking rom-coms and a half.
Those are just garbage.
Oh, I think rom-coms are sometimes garbage as well. But hey, I came up with a list. I don't know if they necessarily qualify as rom-coms, but we're going to go through our top five and also a few honorable mentions. Let's get to it. Mark, why don't you crack us off with number five?
It's funny that you say crack us off. I'm going to start with a movie that's a little outside of your normal romantic comedy drama, but it qualifies for me. It is it's a baseball movie, and it is not the traditional rom-com baseball movie. I'm going with a Kevin Costner, Kelly Preston classic. It's called For Love of the Game.
Oh, I was not thinking of that movie as the baseball movie with Kevin Costner. I was actually thinking you were picking Bull Durham.
So Bull Durham, talk about movies where multiple people get together, is in that genre, but this movie to me is so it fits more into the romantic movie comedy or genre for me, solely because this dude is like having the best game of his life and all he could think about is this girl. Like Bull Durham, they're thinking about a lot of things, not just Susan Sarandon. So yeah, definitely a sleeper movie for me.
When you said Kelly Preston, I was like, no, she wasn't in that movie, but I didn't realize you were talking about that.
Yeah, no, For Love of the Game, great underrated date night movie.
I don't know if I would say that's a rom-com.
I mean, again, it's a loose definition, my friend.
Yeah. Okay.
I told you mine may be strange.
All right. Well, I'm trying to stick close to what I think a rom-com is, but I'm going to start off with number five with that Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore classic, The Wedding Singer.
I have nothing.
An overall fun movie, and god damn it, so filled with 80s stuff, and I love the 80s and the 80s music. You got Billy Idol in there, you got the Boy George references, and everyone dressed up like some character in the 80s, whether it's Cyndi Lauper, Michael Jackson. Oh my god, so funny.
And, get out of my Van Halen t-shirt before the band breaks up.
Just a fun movie, and you know what, it actually made me like Drew Barrymore a whole lot more after seeing that movie.
No, I agree. I think the movie's awesome. Julia Gulia and all a cast is awesome, like you said, and it kind of started that Adam Sandler universe. No problems with it there. Would have been in my honorable mentions for sure. So yeah, all of the love to the Grow Old With You. The soundtrack to this was so good. They released a second album of the soundtrack. Sleeper John Lovett's performance.
It's ladies' night, man. Ladies' night. All right. Well, what about your number four?
My number four is a non-traditional John Cusack classic. It is in the latter days of John Cusack and holds a very tight place in my heart regarding male angst and disappointment, and has one of the absolute best soundtracks ever. And that movie is High Fidelity.
Okay. Interesting that you picked that as your number four, because I also have a number four with John Cusack. Do you want to talk a little bit more about High Fidelity?
So are you familiar with High Fidelity? I feel like it should be like a movie that you hand out to every guy in their mid-20s that's confused about relationships and doesn't know what they want out of anything. It's just such an interesting exposition on why relationships didn't work, why this one's going to work, why, the guy basically goes back through his top five, which also anybody that loves top fives and listens to us, this is great for them, but goes back through his top five breakups that didn't make sense and looks back on these things and meets up with these people. It's so good when he realizes that he's the problem. Oh, I love the movie so much. And it helps you grow. It helps you reflect. At least it helped me. I'm a huge fan of the movie. It was recently remade into a TV series for Hulu, where they changed the protagonist from male to female. I did not watch it because I just have such a warm place in my heart for the John Cusack movie, but such a killer soundtrack. Like, dude, you want to talk about sleeper music in this movie? I mean, it's so good. It's so good.
I might say that my number 4 might rival yours. So John Cusack, along with Minnie Driver, another fantastic soundtrack, but I'm talking about Gross Point Blank. John Cusack, as a hitman, goes back to his old high school to do a. Well, actually, no, he was just there for his reunion,
Yep.
but then ends up getting into some shenanigans. And Jeremy Piven, a very funny role for Jeremy Piven. He's a great actor, but I really liked his role in that. But yeah.
You want to know what's really funny about the fact that that's your number 4 too? I have a DVD that one side is High Fidelity and the other side is Gross Point Blank. No
Nice.
joke. Absolutely own that. A great rom-com special there. And you can't have a rom-com list without John Cusack. I mean, let's be honest.
I swear to God, I thought you were gonna. That was the perfect opportunity for you to drop another nugget, because I thought you were gonna say, what else can you do for a rom-com except have Dan Aykroyd in a movie? So he was in Gross Point Blank, which Dan Aykroyd, God damn you, you made the episode again.
I'm going to say that Dan Aykroyd is in none of my movies.
It's all right. I got him for you.
I've got Tim Robbins. I've got Tim Robbins. I've got Kevin Costner.
Oh, man. Well, let's hit off with number 3.
Number 3, a more recent add to the list than anything else. It is from the Double Zeros and has just a rock star cast, an amazing soundtrack again with some very original songs on it. Cast and director that grew in popularity from this movie on and on. The Jason Segel, Kristen Bell classic, Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
That's a great movie. I did not put it on there on my list because of I didn't think it qualified.
It's such a rom-com.
Great movie.
Oh, so good. Russell Brand in this movie is amazing, and he was so good. Have you seen Get Him to the Greek, the spin-off movie from this?
I did not know.
Oh, amazing, and a better soundtrack. Like you can't. The movie is so good. Like, if you haven't seen Forgetting Sarah Marshall, what the fuck are you doing with your life?
Great movie.
Go watch this with your significant other. You'll laugh. You'll enjoy yourself. You'll sing inappropriate songs, and you'll see a Dracula musical. I mean, what? It's everything.
With number 3, you went with something somewhat more recent than 2000s. I'm going to go back to the 80s.
Oh, the 80s.
And I'm going to go back to adventure, a little bit of danger, cartels, Michael Douglas, Kathleen Turner in Romancing the Stone. One of my top repeat viewings as a child growing up was Romancing the Stone. So much fun. Danny DeVito's in it, and there's action. There's smoking bricks of weed, and I didn't even realize what that was when I was watching it that young. But that was one of the other movies that I would have on repeat, and I was thinking, like, yeah, it's everything's pretty cool except this whole romantic stuff. But even then, it's a natural type of progression where Kathleen Turner plays the damsel in distress, and Michael Douglas, the I don't give a fuck loner who just wants to get rich, picks her up, wants to help her. They fall in love, and you know what? Happy ending. Happy endings for everybody.
And then there's a sequel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's like a B movie rom-com, and I'm all about it. Like, it's bad, but it's bad in a great way. You
There's
get
so
me
much
with
funny stuff.
the bad great movies. Like, that's for that to creep up that high on your list too. I'm hugely all about it. I'm hugely all about it.
Nostalgia, man. Those movies that I viewed for
Oh,
dozens and hundreds of times when I was young. Oof,
mm,
it's high up there.
oh.
All right, break us off with number 2.
So number 2 is probably more of a guilty pleasure movie, one of those like rom-coms that made the 80s way too popular, but just can't be ignored. How can you ignore Pretty Woman?
I certainly can.
Oh, Cinder fucking Rella. This movie is so quotable and amazing. George is in it, and a rich guy falls in love with a hooker. I mean, it's a match made in heaven.
I always think of that Chappelle show episode where they're talking about how movies could have ended differently, where Richard Gere and Julie Roberts are laying in the bed, and he's like, "You got to get the fuck out of here." That's the only thing I can think of.
Well,
It's
you
it's
know
a
that
fun
there was,
movie. It's a fun
yeah,
movie.
I think the soundtrack is awesome, and Julia Roberts like carries the funny in it. Richard Gere, I've never been like a huge Richard Gere fan, but Jason Alexander in this movie is just like, it's like finally somebody's like, you're a fucking whore. Like, when he's done, guess who's next? And it's just like breaks through and brings some real, but then he gets the shit kicked out of him. With one punch, which is totally
Yeah, I wouldn't say
unrealistic.
he got the shit kicked
Yeah.
out of him.
I mean, let's be honest though. Who doesn't love the shopping scene where they're like, big mistake, huge, like such a quotable and just a happy movie that I think that, is one of those that if you're gonna have to watch a serious like chick flick rom-com, this is I'm fine with it. It makes me happy enough.
Okay. Number 2 for me, I'm gonna go with a movie that was recommended to me by a friend, and I actually was very skeptical about it. And then I had heard people at Hollywood Video saying like, "Oh yeah, good movie, excellent movie." I'm gonna go with Kate Hudson and Dane Cook and Jason Biggs in My Best Friend's Girl. Ah, hilarious. Hilarious.
Don't know if that's the best Dane flick.
I think it is because Dane Cook
Have you
kind of
seen
sucks.
have you seen the other two?
Yeah, he kind of sucks, and those movies kind of suck.
There's something about the one with Jessica Simpson that makes me laugh so much.
Not a Jessica Simpson fan.
With
It's funny.
Dak
It's funny.
Shepard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No, but
this is an '81 Honda. How dare you?
yes.
It's funny, but oh my gosh, so many good lines. My friends would quote that movie all the time, and I'm thinking of just letting them know, like, hey, by the way, mention My Best Friend's Girl and you in this episode, so check it out. So,
dude, I think I have that somewhere on Blu-ray, and I don't think that's a movie that could get made now. Like,
it's
not
tough.
possible. Not possible.
Favorite part in that movie when he puts on Two Live Crew, Pop That Pussy, and
Yeah,
Kate
yeah.
Hudson sings along to it. Oh man, I
If
wanted
you
to marry
listen
her.
to it,
I wanted to marry her just because she was singing and dancing along to that song. Like, oh, so awesome. So awesome.
oh,
All right, we're at that top of the list.
oh man, I am a sucker for the top of the list, and it's like the top of everybody's rom-com list, but there's no better romantic comedy than When Harry Met Sally. I can't beat it. I've tried. There's nothing else. There is so much in this movie. The director's amazing in Reiner. There's the I'll have what she's having thing. There's somehow you turn Billy Crystal into a leading man in this movie, and it works. It's perfect. It introduces the world to Meg Ryan. It's just fucking great. Love When Harry Met Sally. could watch that movie every day and not get sick of it.
And I can't disagree. I will say that I've never seen the movie. I've never seen the movie, but I know its reputation, and I'm sure it's good. And I might probably appreciate it more now that I'm older. But yeah,
I that might be a Valentine's Day challenge for you to watch that with your wife.
I would. I mean, I am at that point. I've watched so many goddamn movies that I might as well watch some of the older movies that I missed out on. So I'm up for it.
Solid movie. I'm interested to hear your opinion if you take it in.
I will do it. All right. My number one is nostalgic, sentimental pick. And oddly enough, I just looked up the ratings for this movie. Very, very surprising. It's 6.5 on IMDb, 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, 51 out of 100 on Metacritic, which this actually kind of hurts my feelings because I hold this movie in very high regard. But it features Steve Martin and Diane Keaton, and I believe now it's Kimberly Williams. But I'm talking about Father of the Bride.
He's Father of the Bride, a romantic comedy.
Absolutely. It's way more than Sarah Marshall is, for sure. Are you kidding me?
I had this discussion before the podcast. I said it was a wedding movie. I don't disagree with you. I love that movie. It's an amazing movie.
Comedy. And the thing is, the romantic aspect of it isn't just between the daughter and the soon-to-be son-in-law. It also involves the father-daughter dynamic of that romantic, a father loves his daughter, but also a husband loves his wife. So it's a very interesting and in my opinion, very nice cycle of that romantic feeling from all parts of all family, and love is there and it's felt by all members, along with the two wedding planners, Martin Short and Beanie Wong. So, oh God, such a good movie, and I want to talk about that for just a second because the reason why it's so nostalgic for me is because it is one of the only movies that I watched repeatedly with my mom, and I never really had the best relationship with my mom. She's passed now, but it's one of those things that we could watch that and we could laugh at. It's I'm not the sentimental guy, but at the same time, yeah, there's some good feelings there. So that feeling of what you love in movies is like that good feeling, right? To feel happy. I loved watching this movie and seeing my mom laugh, even though I didn't get along with her all that much. She was laughing. That made me laugh, made me feel good. And dude, Steve Martin, holy shit, man. That guy is comedic genius and such a likable and also relatable guy. And at the same time, you think that he's just absolutely ridiculous because when you reach a breaking point and start ripping out hot dog buns from containers because you don't need excess hot dog buns because hot dogs are only carried in
they come in a pack of 8, not a pack of 12. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, no, I thought you were going to go with a different movie for a minute. I thought my wife was going to absolutely love you and you were going to mention It's Complicated, which is another amazing Steve Martin, Diane Keaton rom-com. But dude, Father of the Bride, I have no qualms. I just didn't think it qualified, but I don't think it would have made my top 5. My top 5 is pretty heavy with the classics, and there's a bunch of honorable mentions that I had thought about that I'm just can't do it. And I wanted to go really weird for the podcast. I wanted to go out there, and I just
just missed your list?
American Pie. I wanted to make the argument.
I mean, it's a comedy. It's a comedy. I wouldn't say
comedy
romantic
and 4 people get laid, so there's some romance involved.
There's only one person that thinks it's romance. and that's Rookie of the Year and Tara Reid. That's the
Yeah.
only couple that thinks
Ian
it's
Thomas
romantic.
Nicholas.
Sure.
Yeah.
Henry
Yeah.
Rowan Gardner is how I know him.
Row,
That's
row,
why-
row, wait, no. Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
yeah.
I know what you're talking about. But yeah, no, that movie, that whole series, like from one to wedding,
Love it.
I'm huge. I really wish they do another one, like bring them back.
We should cover that on the podcast.
Oh,
American Pie.
I do
like,
it.
every single one of them. I'll watch.
I just don't want to do the extra ones,
No,
like the naked where they're like Eugene Levy, do another thing.
No, not
No.
Naked Mile or, I don't know, whatever the other ones are. But so one of the, I had a hard time not putting this in my list. It's a bad movie. It sucks, but it is one of my favorite. In my opinion, it's a comedy, but hey, there's romance there, so let's just call it a rom-com. And I watched this movie once again on repeat. It is Mike Myers and Nancy Travis in So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Great movie.
I love that movie, man.
Great movie.
So much fun. And Amanda Plummer, fucking psycho again. And Mike Myers as himself, as his dad. I still quote some of the things that he says in that movie to this day.
But isn't Wayne's World a romantic comedy then?
I mean, I don't know. I guess, but that's where at least So I Married an Axe Murderer has to deal with getting married and there's a relationship there, you know?
Oh no, I'm with you. And I mean, like for me, some of this, like one that was hard to ignore was Groundhog Day.
That was sort of on my list.
It's so like weird and out there. And like 40-Year-Old Virgin. I was like, is this a rom-com? Is it not?
Once again, on my list of honorable mentions that like when I think of romantic comedies, I don't think of that shit. I think of like Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson.
Well,
and
neither one of us mentioned like Sleepless in Seattle or You've Got Mail.
that was close. Sleepless in Seattle was close on mine.
That is a good movie. Hey, I'm surprised you didn't pick Crazy Rich Asians. Take that as you will.
I never watched it more than once. So it's a very good movie.
Yeah.
And it was very well done. It's just a good movie. I don't even think it is a rom-com. I just think of it as
no, but it is
movie.
A romantic, and Aquafina makes it a comedy automatically. There's movies like Hitch that haven't aged well. Like you can't make that movie now, but it was great. There's things like There's Something About Mary.
Yeah, that's not not a rom-com. It's a fucking raunchy comedy, you know?
Okay. But so is American Pie.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying though. It's like that's my version of if I were to do a legitimate in my head list of rom-coms, I wouldn't be able to make a list because I haven't seen any of these movies.
Yeah, that's true.
With the exception of Pretty Woman, I couldn't make a list. So
yeah,
like,
no, I've seen way too many. But it's like it's one of those genres that always has some funny jokes and a happy ending. So I'm about it. What else is on your honorable mentions? I just ran off a bunch.
The Kurt Russell Goldie Hawn Overboard.
Yes.
Is it a rom-com though?
Is Captain Ron a rom-com? Because that's another great Kurt Russell boat movie.
I would say no on Captain Ron.
Captain Ron, great movie. No. It took way too long for us to mention that movie on this podcast. FYI.
But yeah, it's that I would say that Overboard with those two was just such a good movie. But there's really only one other movie. I'm sorry, two that I wanted to say that I think falls under the category more so than, like Groundhog Day, 40-Year-Old Virgin. And that is, excuse me, Pitch Perfect 2. The reasoning as to why is because, and my favorite scene out of that whole thing is Fat Amy going back up to, I think Bumper is the guy's name, and they're playing. You haven't seen that?
Oh, I'm sure I've seen it.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't get out of that one. But Yeah,
that,
no,
and they're singing "We Belong," and I'm just like, holy shit, this is so hilarious. It's so funny, and it's a fun movie. And once again, kind of talking about you know, movies that we talked about in the past that deal with music. That's one that I was naturally interested in, and I thought it was just like a chick flick, but no, there's
it's
some,
tolerable. It's
yeah, there's stuff to
tolerable.
enjoy by
Yeah,
by everybody.
yeah.
But my other one was, and I had a hard time not putting this on the list, but I didn't simply because I've only watched it once. Was Always Be My Maybe.
That was good.
It was good, very
That
good,
was a legitimately good movie. Like
really funny.
it was kind of a B movie because of Netflix, but it was good.
Yeah,
It was good, and those were two underrated actors that really made that movie happen. I have no problem with that pick at all.
that that is my only reason it was not on my top five, because I thought it was like, holy shit, this is a movie I could watch again, and it is a romantic comedy. But you got Keanu Reeves in it too. That
Keanu's so good.
ridiculous cameo that he has in there, like holy
It's
shit.
well, you want to talk about ridiculous cameos? Let's talk about um the Jersey Girl, the romantic comedy.
I still haven't seen it.
Oh, I can't tell you about the ridiculous cameo then, because it is a huge pivotal point in the movie. You got to figure that out for yourself. So I got two more for you, and then we can move on. We're giving the viewers a ton of scratch to go through, but traditional, you can't. It was very hard not to include Jerry Maguire, the ultimate dude rom-com, right? You go from show me the money to I'm here for my wife, or you had me at hello, right? Like they hit both ends with that one. And I just like that movie. Like it's just such a it's yeah, I like the front half of that movie a lot. But then the deep cut, a obscure, not obscure, but kind of obscure 80s movie that is 100% a rom-com that our viewers can go out and probably find and watch right now. The OG Crocodile Dundee, the first one, 100% a rom-com. That's not a knife. This is a knife. You learn what a bidet is for, and then you learn how to navigate Manhattan by walking on people's heads.
So I think that I'm curious as to listeners. I want you to sort of message us after this episode and answer the poll on Spotify, because I don't know if a majority of those movies that we've talked about are legitimate rom-coms. There's romance in it. There's comedies. I don't know if they're rom-coms, but hey, it's February. It's a theme of love, and I think if you love a movie, it's okay. And hey, that's what we're here for.
Hey, we're here to praise these lovely movies and for y'all to go out and watch them. And please tell us we're full of shit, or that we gave you a great list of movies to binge with your significant other, and just enjoy it. And you're welcome.
So until next time, enjoy your chocolate, enjoy your kisses. This is Dan, part-time Avenger. That's Mark, the Resident Jedi.
Like, subscribe, recommend us, put us on your Valentines as a gift to those that you give them out to. Gift the wonder of this podcast. Yeah, and I agree with Dan. Enjoy the chocolates, enjoy your time, and we'll be back.
Let's give him one big kiss. Mwah.